Hey guys, my name's Stylosa and I've got a little bit of a question. What exactly happened to Guild Wars 2? Why is it not the all-conquering MMO people expected it to be? If we look back at the launch, we can see it launched under a massive tidal wave of advertising. And this just wasn't any old advertising, this was positive advertising. Pretty much everywhere that had got access to the game, anybody who played the beta, anybody who played any version of the game prior to launch, it was awesome. When the game launched, Unit Lost started producing content on the game. It was awesome. You know, we're looking at things like production value. This is, in my honest opinion, the only game that comes close to World of Warcraft in terms of initial production value. There are a lot of MMOs that are launched, games like Warhammer Online, Lord of the Rings Online, games like that. They launch and they're not very well polished, and this puts a lot of people off. Guild Wars 2 did not have this issue. It launched and it was fantastic. We talk about things like the art direction, the world, the design, everything. It looks fantastic. You can see a lot of effort has gone into this, which is exactly the case with World of Warcraft. Whether you hate it, whether you like it, it doesn't really matter. You have to appreciate that there is a lot of design has gone into that, and it's good design. So it's starting off with a really good foundation, Guild Wars 2 is. Now, you don't have to actually pay a subscription fee for Guild Wars 2, which again is a positive, but weirdly can be a bit of a negative. Now, in my eyes it's a positive, but I'm just going to put forward another argument which is kind of interesting. Now, let's take World of Warcraft for example. You pay a monthly subscription to World of Warcraft. That means you are invested in that game on a financial level. So what does that mean? Well, it means that you're more inclined to play that game because you know in the back of your head you're actually paying for that game. Guild Wars 2, you've bought the box, you play it whenever you feel like it. That's nice, that's casual, but it's not making you come back into the world. And one thing MMOs can really suffer from is obviously not enough players connected at any given time. These are living, breathing worlds. You need people to populate these worlds, and if there isn't really any kind of drive for people to play the game beyond the... I mean, okay, obviously you could counter my argument quite easily and say, well, look, Stylosa, if the gameplay's good enough, it shouldn't really matter about that, about this monthly subscription, this financial hook. But I kind of think on some level it does. But that was just kind of a little interesting point I wanted to throw out there. Maybe some people will agree with me, some people probably won't. Go in the comments below, I'll read it and I'll enjoy it. So if I look back at my own experience of Guild Wars 2, I can kind of come to some conclusions as to why I stopped playing the game. And probably these will relate to a lot of people who actually stopped playing the game. So, I have to say the leveling experience in the game is probably the... Well, it isn't probably, it definitely is the best I've experienced in any MMO. It's so fluent. The whole... I'm going to use the term public quests, where you can just run around and take part in things. You don't actually have to collect all the quests off NPCs like World of Warcraft style. Again, this is going back to the natural evolution of the game, where it takes tried and tested foundations and systems that have been implemented for some time from the likes of World of Warcraft and slightly evolves them, takes them onto the next level. I quite like that, and as I say, the leveling experience was really good. So we go back to the video content that was being produced on Unit Lost. Really positive stuff. You know, the game looks fantastic, the combat system is awesome, it's really snappy, really responsive, and again, you can compare this back to other games like World of Warcraft. Very snappy, responsive combat system. Warhammer Online, Lord of the Rings Online, not really very snappy or responsive, and that kind of puts people off. So, I guess the ultimate question is, why did I stop playing? Well, I have a level 71 Norn Guardian. Now, that is not max level. So I've stopped some time before max level. Why is that? Why have I done that? Why have I not finished the game and got to the end of the... You know, at least level my character to max level? It's pretty weird. Well, I played with a lot of guys from Unit Lost. We had quite a big Unit Lost guild, and we did things like we would quest together, which was enjoyable because obviously everybody gets the rewards, and it didn't really matter what your level range was because you've all got that down. You've got the level where the system where you down level, which is great and fine. It means you can take part in activities with everybody in zones and still get rewards. Levels irrelevant and all that stuff, and that's good. You know, I like that. That's pretty good. But then it comes to things like, let's do a dungeon. And we tried to do, I think it was Ascalonian Catacombs, I think. And it was really weird. Now, this kind of goes back to the way the game is designed. So you don't actually have the Holy Trinity, so you don't have a tank, a healer, and DPS. In Guild Wars 2, kind of everybody is a tank, healer and DPS all rolled into one, your survival most of the time depends on you. It doesn't really depend on another character. And as soon as we got, and this is because of things like you have to dodge attacks or don't stand in the fire and things like that. There are heals in the game and there are protective abilities, but it's not like your traditional MMO. Now this brought up some quite hefty problems to begin with. Now, if I just give you an idea of how I was playing the game, I literally leveled like probably to level 50 odd with quite a few people from Unit Lost before we even bothered to go and try out any of the instances of the dungeons. So when we went to try them out, there was a little bit of a shock. It was like, this is weird. Like, this may be a little bit harsh, but it really felt like a clusterfuck. There was no, like, sense of direction. There are no set roles, and I think the game really suffered from that. Like, on the one hand, giving people the freedom to do a lot of different stuff and breaking the mould from the Holy Trinity system sounds great, but on the other hand, when it was actually put into practice, I don't know whether this is because I've been conditioned by games in the past, like EverQuest, your World of Warcrafts and the like, to kind of accept that as the way I almost expect it to be done. It felt really weird, and I think that kind of put me off. I know it put people off I was playing with, because I was in TeamSpeak at the time, and they're saying, "This is weird. What's going on?" And it was quite strange. And we can kind of push that then on into the PvP, which is sort of like, I guess, another issue I had with the game. So you had the world versus world, which is the large-scale PvP on a map which is ludicrously massive. It's got loads of different objectives, so you can do loads of different stuff. And again, visually, as most of the game is, aesthetically and all the rest of it, looks fantastic. However, that quickly devolved into a Zerg type of thingy, where it didn't really matter what was going on. Whoever had the most forces available at any given time would generally win any battle. And there was a big Zerg moving around the map, if anybody's played PlanetSide 2. Very similar to that, where you have everybody basically goes to the big fight, and if you win the big fight, then yeah, you push forward and you win. Whereas people actually trying to complete the minor objectives, like take out supply wagons and supply caravans and smaller outposts and stuff like that, yeah, that was kind of enjoyable, but you're not really getting the rewards you would be getting if you were involved in a large battle. And obviously you wouldn't really affect the outcome of anything really, so it's a little bit strange. So I think, like, I guess, like, this is more relevant to the structured PvP, so you've got your team-based PvP. Because there are no set roles, because there are no, I'm a healer, I'm a tank, I'm a crowd control class, I'm a DPS class, there's no real, like, focus almost in the PvP. So let's use World of Warcraft as an example. Again, like, if you're playing in a battleground and you see a holy priest for some reason, you know that's going to be healing, so you're going to jump onto that if you're a DPS class, or if you're a class with a load of CC, and you're going to lock them down because you know that you're doing that's your job and you're doing a good job. Whereas in Guild Wars 2, because there's such a mashup of everything and anything, you don't really know what you're doing, and often it would come down to, I'm just going to attack the nearest person to me, which is a little bit weird. And I guess kind of not what they wanted, but it's really weird. It's really hard for me to explain. I mean, I'm trying to cover the combat system and the way that the classes are designed in a kind of in a concise, not overly complex manner, because I don't really want to sit here and just keep talking about the combat system and the rest of that. But I do think that on one hand it's good, on the other hand it's bad. Not having the Holy Trinity does really affect the way things like dungeons run. Now, if we're talking about dungeons again, you've obviously got the thing with the jumping puzzles, which was quite interesting, and then I quite enjoyed that, where it was kind of like a platform game inside an MMO, which is, not really been done before, and there was loads of these, and some of them were really complicated, and when you completed them, that was a great sense of completion. It's like, I've just done this, and that was awesome. But you wouldn't really do it again. And it's like, a lot of design has gone into things like that you're not really going to do again. You've just done once, and it's like, okay, that's fine. Why would I do it again? Again, it's kind of a weird design decision. I don't know. I think as well, like, when you look at the end game, now this is probably the main reason why I stopped playing the game. There was nothing to do at end game. Beyond, well, there literally was nothing. Like, I mean, I go to and play PvP, I guess. I don't know. It's that was weird to me. I couldn't understand that. The leveling experience was so fantastic. I expected to be thrown straight into a raid. But, well, no, that's not right. Not thrown straight into a raid, but thrown into a position where I knew there would be something for me to do, something for me to aim towards, something for me to work on. Again, I'll compare this back to World of Warcraft. The leveling experience, it's okay in World of Warcraft. But then when you hit the end game, you know that there are set goals that you need to be part of a raid to complete, and there's a lot more of the game to do. And yeah, you can dip into PvP and stuff like that. Same with EverQuest 2. Same with EverQuest. A bit lighter on the PvP side though. But with the PvE, the raids, totally the same. Guild Wars 2, yeah, there didn't really seem to be much going on. Another thing which kind of annoyed me as well, and this is going to sound kind of bad, but I did not really like the large-scale public quests. So you could kind of equate these to raids. Visually, they looked impressive as hell. There's one I can remember where I'm inside a volcano and we're fighting this big, like, lava guy, and it's like, oh god, this looks great. But really, what am I actually doing? You know, I'm not really doing that much. It doesn't really matter what I do. I can't really cause the wipe of that raid. I'm kind of sitting here with my fingers up, like in commas, raid. Like, I'm using the term very kind of loosely, I suppose, but it's a large group of players working on an objective. But it didn't really matter what you did. You know, you could have been the worst player in the world, but provided you just kept spamming your buttons and did a bit of damage, you'd get up on the little scoreboard, and as the event finished, you'd get rated from bronze to gold. Most of the time, I'll be honest, it was usually gold, if not silver. Very rarely bronze, unless you turned up at the end of an event. Now, that's kind of not what I'm after, you know, as a player, and I think a lot of people were in that or are in that situation. As much as people will hate on raids and they will say, no, we don't like raid and it forces people to play the game for 20 hours, 30 hours a week just to be competitive, that's not always the case. And it doesn't have to be the case. It is the case for some people who are, I guess you could say, addicted to raiding or really want to be the highest, the top 1%, then that's fine. However, it would still be nice to play I mean, if it had some sort of system where there were raids which required kind of guild input and not just massive zergs, for want of a better word, maybe I'd still be playing the game now. I don't know. There's a lot of like different things I think which have all added up to kind of make this game, Guild Wars 2, sort of just almost just peter out. I mean, like, we look back at the positives and we know that it's got fantastic design. The aesthetics, the environment design, the sound design, everything looks awesome. The game looks, even the marketing material looks great. The way they do all the different like splash screens and everything, it looks fantastic. They kind of, like, the leveling experience is the best in any MMO. It's fantastic. But then it kind of just doesn't, like, it's almost like it doesn't follow through. This is kind of what it felt like for me. Didn't follow through. And I slowly but surely stopped playing the game. And I logged into the game today to check out what was going on, and there was very few people around the areas I was in and stuff like that. And it's like, I don't know what the population base of the game currently is, but to me, it feels like a bit of a shame. Like, I really think Guild Wars 2 has been an overall positive thing for the MMO scene, for the genre. And I also feel kind of disappointed as well. Like, not let down. Well, I guess you could say disappointed is being let down, but I just feel a bit like I expected better. Like, I expected more. I don't know. I don't really know what I expected, but you can see how this is really a complicated thing. But I wanted to make a video on this just to say, look, guys, are you in this situation? Because I like talking about stuff like this. I like getting down to the dirty aspects and saying, like, why was this game not as successful as it should have been? Maybe if Guild Wars 2 had a great end game, maybe if it just followed the old Holy Trinity class system, it would have been a better game. Well, a better game, again, is a term that we can't just throw around like willy-nilly. Oh yes, it would have been better. I'm saying, like, would it have held people's attention for longer? I don't know. What do you think, guys? Let me know in the comments below. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. This is kind of a little bit different than what we usually do, but I like to kind of do this style of stuff. So yeah, let's see what you guys think. So I've been Stylosa, guys. Make sure you follow me follow me on Twitter at Unit Loss Gaming. That is my account. Good lord, the link is in the description. And yeah, make sure you subscribe and like and all the rest of that stuff. And I'll catch you next time, people. Toodaloo.